welcome back, everybody. We're coming at you live, our very first live show, by the way, and we're at Bata Hilton. And before we even get back into the conversations about women, because it's International Women's Day, I just have to start off by saying I think a good chunk of people must own Bata shoes. Like I know growing up I had like several school shoes for sure, but Bata, like going out shoes, Sunday schools. Did you guys also have Bata shoes? Yeah? Yeah, so I'm quite a bit. I'm actually been rocking some. And for the ladies, you should know that they have the Red Label collection. It's available at select stores like Bata Hilton, which is exactly where we are today. Now, conversation has been all about women. And so the next thing I want to bring up is that Samantha Mu Garcia, who acted in Rafiki, just won an award in won the Best Actress Award at the Burkina Faso FESPACO Film Festival. And I'm curious to know, growing up, did you see women like you on TV who made you want to be great, to rise to the occasion? Like, who did you grow up watching on television that you thought, oh man, if only? We can start with you, Ayuma.
Wow. I saw a couple of women, but I think the one who stood out the most was Caroline Mutoko. Okay. I mean, I just loved, but I think it was her sister, Omo Pika Box. Omo Pika Box.
Wait, that was Caroline Mutoko's sister?
It was a sister,
really?
Yeah. Omo Pika Box. And I was like...
I remember that so clearly.
Yeah.
Like, trying to get
the
like the
money on
thing.
the box.
Yeah, and like trying to get it. And I used to be like, if only I could get there.
Yeah, so I just loved her. You know, the fact that the show was just so amazing. There was always like lots of mystery, but her confidence and her standing on TV so confident and just owning her own space, that made me want to be like, one day I'm going to be speaking that confidently, and look at where we are today. Like, and I just believe in the power of visualization, that when you see a woman, just the way Sheryl Sandberg says, when you see it, you can become it. So I'm just so grateful that such a woman existed, right, that told me that there's a place and space for me in front of the camera someday.
Jana, we can start.
I mean, I love that you've said that. I was always listening to, so it was radio, it was Capital FM, but seeing someone like Patricia Mira, and I really wanted to be in that space. And I remember sitting down with her being so awestruck and like, what do I need to do to get there? And she said, finish school, but you can get there. So yes, I did see women who had this deep voice like me, because we weren't that many, and I was made fun of for the longest time.
Right.
So it was great to get that validation, like, she sounds like me.
Right.
She's out there, doing something and commanding an audience with that voice.
Yeah.
It means I can do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were few and far between though.
Right,
I think
agree.
the women, younger women today are so lucky that there's a lot of incredible women they can look to.
Yeah.
They were few and far between, but they were there. The Carolines, the Patricias.
Right.
And yeah, so it did kind of allow me to say, that's what I want to strive to be. And it allowed me the confidence to pursue media as well.
I love that.
Yeah.
And now look at you today.
It's amazing.
One of the most
incredible.
iconic media personalities.
No,
No, and I mean that. Joanne, who are you looking up to?
Beatrice Marshall could do no wrong. She was beautiful. Her bone structure was ridiculous.
Yeah.
She had some poise and some elegance that it almost feels like you have to buy it from a shop to get.
Right.
She was amazing. And then she was dark skinned, so
right.
power.
And isn't that beautiful to be able to see someone who looks like you, sounds like you, talks like you, out there doing great, because that's how you start to see yourself in those positions. I'm surprised no one said Oprah.
Well,
I was waiting for like Oprah Winfrey.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, that's for me.
Yeah.
I would say that Oprah is a person who I'd watch and think Oprah is not traditionally or like she's not like the absolute standard of beauty, right? Mm-hmm. And I'd say like I think look at her. She's not there trying to look pretty, but everyone watches her. She was able to command people from all walks of life. Doesn't matter what race you are, and she was a figure of authority. And I was like, look at that woman who understands her power and is able to harness it.
Oh, yeah. Oprah was like that aunt who I would go home to and listen to. So I know definitely she was there. But yeah, I mean, I think I just thought she's like in a different planet.
Right, yeah.
But
it's good that to have even at home, the Catherine Casavulis, the Beatrice Marshalls, that we were able to look at and be like, oh, that could be me. So I don't know if, I'm sure you ladies have seen actually, but I don't know if you've seen that there were some posters trending on Twitter, and they depicted how it is for a man versus how it is for a woman. And I'm telling you, when I saw that tweet, it hit me. I felt it in my gut. I'm sure it's on the screen right now. It's someone has to work harder. That was the message. Now, would you say that this has been true for your journey? Have you felt it, whether it's building brands, starting the foundations that you've got? Like, have you felt this as you navigated your space in career?
Yeah. I like the everyone's
Do you even start?
yeah, you do. The one that stood out for me was the ladder one.
Yeah.
And I think I even put it up because I thought it's hard. It's an honest truth. It's a slap in the face. But you've got this ladder that you don't even know how, or when you're going to climb it. Yes, absolutely. I would say that there were moments when I felt like I had to prove myself more, assert myself more, and constantly show them I'm here. I'm showing up. I'm trying to show you that I'm able to do this, and yet you still want to overlook me for my male colleague because you just feel like, what, is he easier to deal with? Is he, does something make him better placed to do it than me? And so, yeah, I did feel the need to constantly, and I sometimes still go with that mentality. If I'm going into a room to present something, or if I'm going to be surrounded by, colleagues, whether it's male or female, I immediately feel I need to bring it way more than anybody else has to,
Yeah.
which isn't fair, but it's just a reality.
Yeah.
And it's something that I carry with me all the time. If I was training to get into radio, I had to outdo everybody else who was doing the same training session and show up earlier and leave later just to show you I'm here and I mean it, that I can do this. So yeah, it's a reality. It's such a reality. And climbing the ladder, you don't know if your talents are enough. A lot of the times it may not be. But I still strive to do it because I say, I've come this far. I'm going to keep trying to go as far as I can. Hurdles will come my way. I'm going to have to be cognizant of that. But how do I then navigate them? I read a lot. I educate myself a lot on people who've managed to break those barriers. So I'm able to wake up and say, okay, I've seen that this is an issue, whether it's from Lean In or Unbowed by Wangari Maathai, which is one of my favorite books.
Yeah.
And it shows you they faced hurdles. They were able to somehow navigate it. And so that's what gives me the confidence.
Ooh, you better preach, Janet. Joanne?
Yeah, I think for me it's more to do with the flack that women get and how easy it is for you to get that flack. And it's so funny. A friend of mine so I did an article for a local daily, and a friend of mine sends it to me and says, you need to read the comment section. And then I sent it to Janet yesterday on WhatsApp saying, what? And I think
Wait, what was the comment section?
So the article was about when you get married, do you change your name?
Oh, your surname.
You know, to that of your husband.
Right.
Whatever. And it was a very neutral article in terms of this is the origin of surname change.
Yeah.
It was very unsavory. That the beginning of surname change was women being like property, and that's how it began.
Right.
And I sort of like gave the chronological order of how it began and the African context and stuff like that. And at the end, I just said, you know what, we're in 2019, do you? If you want to hyphenate, if you want to take it, if you want to do a double-barreled, whatever, just do you. So I wasn't saying don't take or take. But the comments, man, were like, oh, this husband of hers, Kuria, should get another 21-year-old. She is, yes, she is. You know, so I even sent it to my husband, and he was like,
what?
I know. Yeah. This was actually yesterday. So I sent it to him, and he's like, I think I should comment and say, this Kuria guy has endorsed this message. Because I'm like, no, this trolls, like, it's not worth it. So I feel like that the target that women get is really below the belt.
Yeah.
And so even as you're navigating the ladder, as Janet is saying, you need to be cognizant of the fact that, oh, she's not even married. What is she saying?
Yeah.
And that's why you hear women saying, oh, I have to wear a wedding band, a fake one, to get into meetings because I'll earn more respect if I say I'm married. Or that's why people say, oh, I'm a divorcee and you're a woman. What did you do to lead to this? You know?
Right.
So the flack that we get is so much more. So not only are you trying to navigate that ladder, the proverbial career ladder, but you're also now trying to see who's undercutting you, who's elbowing you as you go along. And many times they attack you based on morality, based on you're just a woman, based on those kind of things that really, really hurt you. So that's what I feel like my experience, as recently as yesterday, has been in terms of flack.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Ayuma?
I'm like, I'm not going to go in that comment section. So for me, I noticed this ever since I was young, because I was always the sciencey geek kid, and I just love science. And I noticed it right from the classroom, where I wanted to become an astronaut, but then people would be, but there isn't enough. To those people, they hadn't educated themselves that this is not a gender thing. It's a are you qualified? Do you have the technical skill? Are you able to go there? So immediately in class, I remember just being told these things that you can't. And I had so many career changes. So imagine I'm coming from school, going back home, I pitch, hey, I want to be this. No, you can't be that. Oh, hey, I want to be this. No, you can't. And then now, my early life, my very short-term life in the media, the one that I really resonated with was the maze. Because the maze literally is, what does society, starting from school to home to the workplace, which department are you allowed to work in?
Right.
How can you dress? Can you be a CEO or not? The fact that we have less than 5% women CEOs in Africa, that's a huge deal. Because how many women have been told, no, you can't be CEO, it's a man thing.
Right.
And recently, as you know, on Facebook, I had this conversation, but I know we'll discuss about maybe sports later, but even in sports, there are people who are like, no, what is a woman trying to do, trying to get into sports and play on the same field with men? I've been an athlete. It has nothing to do with gender. It has to do with technical ability. And are you able, women can battle it out on the field with men, but with different qualities. So just things like those, that maze for no, try this out, no, you can't try this out. Yet for the man, it's, you can be anything you want to be. Just straight, just go for it, man.
And it's really
but for a
sad
woman,
that
it's too many things.
Yeah, and it's sad that starts early as a child. You're told, no, girls don't do that. Or you shouldn't be thinking about that. And you're conditioned to start then knowing that your place is just this box. I once had someone tell me, and I think this is another thing that women really get a lot of flack for in their careers is, getting pregnant. But I once had someone tell me to my face, oh, now you're damaged goods.
Whoa.
I'm like, well, like 7-8 months pregnant, and they said it, a man said it to my face. And I thought, like, I mean, you hear like it's people talk about it like, behind closed doors, but to my face, you're really going to say that?
And so you can't do anything, right? You don't have a child, it's a problem. You have one, it's an issue.
It's an issue. So what do we do? Like, what do you really want us to do?
But it's crazy. At the end of the day, we are women. We are natural beings. So the workplaces should expect that you're a woman. They should expect and they should have the facilities to support
Cater
women
to that,
giving birth and having children because it's a family thing. It's a natural thing.
Yeah. And sorry to interrupt, but also have to provide the same kind of spaces for men too, because I've also heard of men being told, sorry, you can't go on paternal leave. Like, what have you done? You've not.
It doesn't make sense to me that you expect all this progress in a person's life, but don't make any changes, adjustments. There's very few companies doing it, and I really applaud them. But it shouldn't be that we're applauding them. This should be a norm.
Absolutely.
There's previously some of the places I worked, I'd be like, where is there no breastfeeding room? Because I'd see a colleague in the car sweating, trying to express milk. And I'm like, there's no dignity in that. And they're, we're trying to look for space. I'm like, prioritize it. Because this is going to keep happening. You will keep employing women who are then going to go on and have families. So it's not going to stop. So you shouldn't still be trying to figure out where you can get a space. It irks me when I still see that as an issue. It shouldn't be.
And we can talk about, like, that could be a whole other conversation, like breastfeeding, where you should do it, go to the bathroom. Like, it's a whole other conversation. Now, Janet, you talked about, like, books that inspired you, and you talked about Unbowed. So there's an article that came up that listed down the 10 must-read books for women, given that it's Women's History Month. So I want to know from you ladies, what books authored by women have sort of shaped you the most?
Wow.
Okay, maybe Janet had hers.
Oh, yeah,
Unbowed.
I already,
So
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, I had already said
Unbowed,
Unbowed by Wangari Maathai. Yeah.
That's an amazing book. That's an amazing book. So me, I'm such a bookie. Can I tell like 10 books?
Yes. List
Okay.
it.
So Becoming, Michelle Obama.
Okay.
Unbowed is an amazing book. There is Ellen Johnson Sirleaf has a memoir. This Child Will Be Great. It's her story. It's completely unfiltered. It's an amazing book. Fiction is also good, I think, even though it's not like a real life story. There's a book called Questions for Ada.
Oh.
It's by a Nigerian author, Ijeoma someone. I can't pronounce her second name, but it's a woman's power book. So it's mostly poetry, but it's really, really good. So
Beautiful.
let me just
Okay.
let me end the video there.
Yeah, for me, it has got to be Chimamanda. My goodness, anything Chimamanda,
We should all be
anything.
feminists,
Even if she
Americana.
launches a barrette line, I will buy it. Like, I think the specificity of her story just catches my attention. Because I think for a very long time, African women were sort of like, we were limited to books written by other black women, anything close to black to us from other parts of the world. But this is the first time this queen just came out and she said, hey, I'm unapologetic about our names. I am not going to explain my name. I'm not going to explain the habits and the behaviors of Africans. It is what it is. We got to learn how to pronounce American names by force thanks to Hollywood. So why shouldn't the rest of the world get into the business of learning how to pronounce African names, get to be okay that this is how Africans do stuff, and this is where our history comes from. And I think maybe it's informed by that confidence, that Nigerian confidence and her Igbo power.
Unapologetically, like feminine.
Yeah.
And in fact, Chimamanda is one of, like, she's such an amazing feminist. And one of the things that sort of brought about so a little bit of controversy is like, but you dress like, you know, a feminine girl, and you like have like high heels and you have like beautiful clothes. If you really are a feminist, then you should look a certain way, which is so crazy. Yeah. But I love that she owns her power in herself. And speaking of fashion, just got to remind you, we're at Bata, and like we were talking earlier, and we were like, if we had a choice, we've already spotted which shoes we're gonna scoop back here. Yeah, we're like, will they notice if anything goes missing?
I spotted the pair.
Me too. Again, they're celebrating 80 years in the market, and 125 years in the world, and they've got all sorts of shoes. So if you're looking to treat yourself this weekend, for whatever reason, then check them out. Head over to a Bata store near you. Now, I have to talk about this because it just came out, and I watched it with my mouth wide open. Did you guys see the R. Kelly interview with Gayle King? I mean, for 10 minutes, I was like, what's going on? And I'm sure you've watched or at least heard of the interview series that came out exposing, you know, some of the women came out. Allegedly, R. Kelly has been abusive in many ways and you know, sleeping with girls underage. And at least it's alleged. And I have to ask, well, first, what did you think of the interview? Thoughts on the interview?
Gayle King is a hero.
Yes. Yeah. She's strong.
She's strong.
Patient.
Yes.
Let's name the quality. We can go on that.
Yeah,
like
we
patient.
can go on.
Yeah.
I think it was a revelation of his weak, exactly what it is that he's been accused of. I think it was just a revelation of trying to use performance and
power,
cowardice and crocodile tears, because he's hurt so many people.
Yeah.
So many, not even women, but so many families.
Right.
And there's a truth to it. There's a lot of evidence to it. I didn't buy it at all. If anything, it frustrated me to watch it.
Yeah.
Because I think he had a chance to either apologize or, you know, if this is something that you think I did, then I'm sorry. But none of that came out. It was defense. It was
crazy.
Yeah.
And now I even want to know, what do you think of that kind of predator behavior? And whether we like it or not, women are usually the ones who suffer most, or the victim. Majority of the victims are women. But not just the predator behavior, but this sense of, let's protect him because he is powerful, he is talented, he is a celebrity. To which extent do you, I mean, what do you think about that, and how do we then go about reversing?
You know, one of the comments in the comment section, we're back to the comment section. Yeah. Somebody said, and the Oscar goes to R. Kelly's slow clap, because it just felt victim mentality, and you're really trying. And he was good. Like, he was really good. I mean, if you didn't know his story, you'd probably think, oh gosh, what has this man done? Why is people targeting him? But I think it lends. So for me, I think this thing has given me, it's almost like mixed emotions. I feel like it's going to be a win-win for women either way, if he's acquitted or convicted eventually. I think the power of, so it's been decades of allegations. And then it took a hashtag #MeToo conversation. It took a mute R. Kelly conversation to sort of like catalyze it further. And I feel like, imagine a woman in the 80s or 90s would not make an allegation like that and be believed, you know? And then this is R. Kelly. R. Kelly would sing dodgy songs, then he does I Believe I Can Fly. And we're all like, oh my God.
I can fly. In churches.
You know, and then churches. And he was, you know, a Grammy Award-winning artist. He was like king of something, you know, like he was really, really good. And so any person at that time would not be believed, especially as a woman, that, oh, R. Kelly has done this and that to me. So for me, I feel like, for starters, at the bare minimum, it's a win for women, because now you can share your story. You can share your authentic story, and somebody can actually hear you. And I feel like there's power. It's almost like catharsis. You know, there's power in just crying, venting, telling somebody, and at least having that space to say it. In regards to, you know, the court of public opinion clearly has already hung him, stoned him, and all of that stuff. And I feel like the court process will, you know, I guess in due time will now let us know what eventually has happened. But I think that women should now take this and say that I can actually speak up and speak out against gender-based violence, against sexual harassment, and all of those other vices that we are victims of, because somebody out there has begun that conversation. When I saw Mute R. Kelly, I mean, I had a radio station the other day playing R. Kelly. I'm like, you guys, the memo was sent.
Yeah.
Like, stop playing him. But when I had Mute R. Kelly, and then now his record label has, I think, he's now out of his record label. I'm like, this is the progress that we are now seeing, that your powerful pedestal that kept you at a certain point, that nobody could tell you anything, you're now literally, the cookie is crumbling.
Especially at that time.
Yes.
We were just saying
yes.
even Michael Jackson and everything
Yes.
that's
Right,
happening.
yeah, earlier.
Yeah, Bill
And-
Cosby, Harvey
Yes.
Weinstein, suddenly.
Oh my gosh,
Right.
Cosby was huge.
Yeah.
She was like our dad.
Oh, yeah.
Our
And that's why it
granddad.
was almost difficult to believe that, because what do you
was.
mean that
It
this
was.
man
And how dare
that
you
I've
accuse him
admired?
of-
Even the Seventh
How?
Heaven dad. I forget.
Yes.
Like, what? Are you
That's
kidding
what
me?
I used to want to have 7 kids because of that show, and then now you're telling me that the thing that
Yes.
inspired what I want for my family is.
And I feel
Yeah.
like we're only just beginning,
Crumbling?
unfortunately.
Oh,
I
it's
feel like
only
this-
just
I feel like
beginning.
Pandora's box has opened, this can of worms, and it's going to we're going to hear things that are going to shock us to our core.
Yeah.
But it's like you're
Right.
saying, it's because we've been allowed to have the conversation.
And
Yeah.
I can't wait till that conversation comes to
Yeah.
Kenya.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I think it's happening already. The fact that we are here talking about this and we are so well informed about the situation, Me Too opened up a can of worms all around the world, because it just didn't
Hold your
start
mic to your mouth. Sorry, my love, but just hold.
Oh,
hold it like
sorry,
this so we
sorry.
can hear
Yeah,
you,
it just
'cause-
didn't begin the other day. I mean, it's given us the vocabulary to talk about this thing. It's given us what it looks like, what a predator looks like. But I liked something that you said. R. Kelly was. There's a phasing out of this group of people. And I feel that even when it took Gail. I really, really love Gail, because imagine if she was trying to attack and clap back. You know, she pulled off her weave. and She was like,
she
let
was
me
like,
show
Robert,
you Shaniqua.
Robert,
You know?
We were saying that. It
saying
sounded
that.
like she was talking to a 3-year, like, Robert, sit down. If I tell you one more time,
Yeah.
Robert, sit down. And she
Yeah.
never once lost her cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which,
because
which went to just go paint how crazy. How he just looked
Yeah.
even more crazy.
yeah,
I
it
know-
took her calm
Yeah.
to show his personality coming out, and it was really funny how he spoke about himself in third person. That
Yeah.
to me just cracked me up.
Women
I'm like,
have
I'm
to be
sorry.
prepared to speak out and
Yeah.
be prepared to be persecuted.
Yes.
And that's what people fear the most. But in this fight for gender equality and rights, you will be persecuted. But that
Yeah.
shouldn't stop you from speaking your truth. And I think that's something people need to be aware
Right.
of. Yeah.
I hear you. Do we have to go on break? I don't know if we can take one more. No, okay, no. So, did you guys watch the Serena Williams Nike ad? Let me
Yes.
tell you, I was out there like, oh, like I was.
Yes, I know.
I was like a 300 warrior ready to go to war. So we're going to play it for you, just in case you haven't watched it. Just take a look at Serena Williams just being awesome. Here, take a look.
If we show emotion, we're called dramatic. If we want to play against men, we're nuts. And if we dream of equal opportunity, delusional. When we stand for something, we're unhinged.
It's super. It's going to need to calm down.
When we're too good, there's something wrong with us. And if we get angry, we're hysterical, irrational, or just being crazy. But a woman running a marathon was crazy.
Officials tried to pull her off the course.
A woman boxing was crazy. A woman dunking? Crazy. Coaching an NBA team? Crazy. A woman competing in a hit job.
See what I mean? I mean, she's just, I watched that and I thought, yeah, don't tell us that we're angry. She says this, and if we get angry, we're hysterical, irrational, or just being crazy. Because God forbid that we have any emotion. Okay, so have you ever been labeled as, I don't know, emotionally fragile? Has it sort of been used as a weapon? Like, you must be on your period. Because really, this, I can't understand why you're frustrated.
Speaking of, I've literally been told that.
Oh.
Yeah, my previous business, when I started it, it was an event startup. And I was creating a board, right? And this board included some men, young men, to be frank. I thought that this was something to do with like maybe the older generation that didn't have an idea of, you know. But these were young guys. And then one time I'm calling this guy who's late for a meeting because of his bad behavior. And he's like, oh, you must be on your period. I tell you, I said, you're fired. There's no other meeting you're coming to. This is our last conversation. Hung up the phone. And then after putting down my phone, I was so composed, you know, like Gail. I was like, you're fired. Whatever. And then I put down my phone and I was like, whoosh.
Oh my goodness.
I couldn't believe that came from a young man's mouth.
Yeah.
Telling me, and here I am, we are trying to create opportunities for fellow Africans in business to discuss and to grow. But funny enough, I faced this kind of treatment even in the tech ecosystem, in the business world. But do you know what? Nowadays, anytime somebody tells me I'm emotional, I tell them thank you. Because I had to inform myself about what emotion means, about what an emotion means to a woman. And that's when I learned, even in science, it says that the part of our brain that helps us process decisions is the emotional brain. Meaning, if you're in touch with your emotional intelligence, you make better decisions. And that's why when somebody asks you, why did you make that decision? Why did you know it was the right one? You says it felt right. Felt right. It's coming from the part of the brain that does not process language or logic. It processes emotion. So nowadays I'm like, thank you, honey. I have them for a reason.
Yeah, I hear you. And it's something that you can't. I mean, what do you think you're going to do? So I'm on my period. So yes, I'm angry. And then what? Janet, what do you think?
Yeah, no, definitely. I've gotten that before. And I was doing a travel show. I remember. I'm very pedantic about how things are done, so the trip needed to be organized, and then we go package it before we air it. And I was frustrated because I was like, this process isn't going as smooth as it should.
Right.
And the producer was like, what, are you on your period? The same thing.
Wow, yeah.
But it was loud, it was in front of everyone, and
yeah.
I said, I don't know what that has to do with anything. It's just about a process, but it was dismissed with finality. It's that time of the month. You'll get over it, you know. And just learning that statements like that are going to. I'm really a believer in just being prepared. But what are you going to do? It's going to keep happening. There'll always be. Oh, is that pregnancy brain? Are you feeling?
Yeah.
And you know, it's like no, I can still do my job.
Yeah.
Yes,
I do have permission to be angry.
I have permission to be angry. There's nothing wrong with it. With Serena, I'm such a huge fan of hers, and I hated the treatment that she gets on the courts. It was so great to see the likes of Andy Murray standing up for her. We need more allies like that, especially male allies. But I'm like, it's ridiculous. The same, and they showed this montage before of men throwing their rackets like she has, but never getting for it.
No, that's just aggression.
It's just aggression.
Men are allowed to let it out.
Men can be
but
angry,
God forbid you do it. Joanne?
I think we need to unlearn the thing that we've been taught for decades, that the closer you are to male traits, the better you are. So just this past week I was having a conversation with some people, and I was saying, if a man tells another man, uko na umama, it'll be a fist fight, because, I mean, kuwa na umama is almost like, what? That's an insult. But why, you know? And then if you hear, that lady drives like a man, that's a compliment, you know? So I feel like being told that you're emotional, like Ayuma said, is an amazing compliment. There's a reason why research says that women live longer than men, like worldwide. And you know why? It's because we do this.
Right.
We do glasses of wine, we cry, we talk, we vent.
Yeah.
And so being emotional is actually a highly useful tool for your survival and for your long life.
I hear you.
So I feel like let's embrace it. It shouldn't be used as a weapon or as a dagger.
Right.
You know?
We've got to move on to the next conversation, but I hear you 100%. And this one is from a woman that, I mean, it's someone I admire deeply, Michelle Obama. And she recently put up a post, and she says, actually, maybe let's put up the clip so that you can watch what she's saying, and then we'll talk about it.
The biggest thing is being conscious of the need for inclusion. So often people don't even think about making sure women are at the table. Just look across the boardrooms all around America. So whenever there's an opportunity to invite someone in, it's up to us to prioritize filling that seat with a voice that we're not hearing from, particularly women and minorities. We can also take the long game perspective and focus on lifting up young girls. And that starts with parenting and making sure all our girls have confidence in their voices. It also includes efforts like mentoring. Through mentoring, you can reflect back to a young woman.
I'm just going to say Michelle Obama for president. I think there's a lot of us who are like, so you're not going to run for office? I mean, we're not even from that country, but we're like, you need a Michelle Obama up there. On her post, she says this: empowering each other is a big question and can take a lot of forms. But one thing I know is that it's up to us to be there for each other, especially those who are often overlooked as women. Ooh, okay, thoughts on that? And how do you think that you and other women can sort of pay it forward? And you touched on it a little bit on Kylie Jenner, and asking, like, so then how are you bringing other women to that table? Are you creating space for women? Yeah. So what do you think we can do?
I think if you have a platform, you have to use it. When I think about how I was able to progress in media, I think about how, Farida Karone opened. She believed in me more than I believed in myself, because she was saying, you can do this. And I said, I can't. I'm young. I'm not going to read the news. She literally summoned me from Mombasa to her office and said, you can do this and you will do this. And proceeded to train me. Beatrice Marshall was also part of that. So it's incredible that I was fortunate enough to have women actually show me and say, you can, you've got this. And we believe in you and we're going to walk with you. I honestly find it's effortless then for me to do that for other women, for other younger women. It is, because I was given the permission to blossom and to thrive. Even though they were hard on me many times, they still said, we believe you have a place in this industry, and we believe you can go as far as you want to. And so I believe it's important that pay it forward. You must. Right. Otherwise, how are you going to leave out a whole other group of people? I get young women all the time feeling like they don't have the validation, they don't have the qualifications, the confidence. I'm happy to hold their hand and say, you've got this, because that was done for me. So the pay it forward, we really ought to. And sometimes it's unfortunate you have women who are in high positions, and sometimes that doesn't reflect on how the hiring process is done. And I think that's something that's important to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Let me jump onto that. I think Janet said something very, very important, that there was a woman who believed in you even more than you believed in yourself. And recently I was watching a video by McKinsey. They do an amazing leadership program. And there's this lady called Vivian Hunt who said that you need to find a partner who either is, like whatever walk in life that you're in, this person believes in you. Like the kind of belief that they have in you, it's either equal or greater. Right. That you need to have people around you who are at the same level of your flyness. So it's like, have people around you who not only believe in you equally or even greater, because then they'll pull you up. And it also reminds me of a conversation that one of my favorite coaches, she's called Lisa Nichols, she had a conversation with Oprah, and she was saying how when she was obviously waiting to be interviewed by Oprah, and then her guests usually stay at a hotel which is owned by Auntie O, and goals, right? And then one day, when she was coming out of the bed, she didn't make her bed, but her grandmother told her, please make that bed. Why? You are in this room today, about to be interviewed by Oprah, because guess what? You are sitting on an expensive seat that fellow black women have created for you. So there's no way, you obviously know there's a black woman who's going to come and make that bed, because obviously the service industry. So there was like, there's no way you're going to be careless with that bed. Make that bed, I taught you better. And yes, even if it's Oprah's hotel, you're going to make that bed. So it's just this whole idea of knowing that we are who we are today because we are sitting on very expensive seats. People sacrifice. The lady who allowed you to be where you are today, that is a sacrifice they made. They had to go against the status quo. They were obviously attacked so that you can break that ceiling and get to be where you are right now. And I think it's the same thing for me. Michelle is an amazing woman. Not only is she an amazing namesake, but
just saying.
Just saying, FYI. But I just think she's this amazing black woman. If she's able to tell us that, hey, I'm not here because of myself. She constantly talks about the kind of parenting she received, a
Right,
different kind of
right,
parenting.
yeah.
I think that's where we need to remind ourselves we are here today because of the expensive seat that people are paying.
That's true. We've got to end the show, ladies.
Oh,
I know. It feels like we've
Start
just,
again.
It feels like we're just getting started. But we've got to end the show. And thank you so much, not just for coming on the show, but for being powerful and bold and unapologetic women who aren't afraid of who they are and harnessing their power. It's so clear that that's who you are. And I think when I ask that question, how are you paying it forward? I think by being you, that's how you're paying it forward. And that's how you're helping others feel like they can tap into that version of themselves. So thank you.
Thank you for being so incredible yourself. Thank you. Thank you, Sharon.
Of course, the media host here is going to be like, I'm going to put it back to you, Sharon. And thank you guys, too. I hope that you've got a special day planned out for yourself today. Hey, I've got to say, you've got to try out a Bata store because they've got all sorts of really, really cool shoes that you can try out. And they have some really cool deals. In fact, here's one that you should hear about. The first pair of shoes that you buy will attract no discount. But the second pair will get a 20% discount on the total value of the two pairs. The third pair will get a 30% discount on the total value of the three pairs. And any receipt will get a maximum set of 3 pairs. The fourth pair becomes the first, the fifth becomes the second, and the sixth becomes the third pair, and so on. But basically, you just really need to get yourself to a Bata. Get the discounts, get yourself some cute shoes. We probably will after this, won't we? And have yourself a great weekend. But before I love you and leave you, we're not going to leave you with Kimberly to send you off. Thanks for watching, everybody.